Hey everyone, welcome to Sir Inq's The Experience podcast, where we talk about anything and everything kink. We only cater to adults 18 and above, so remember this podcast is not safe for work, or as we like to say, NSF.
Remember, you can always listen to us during your private time. Hello, kinky and kink curious folk out there. My name is Sir Inq, and today I have a treat for you. It's a really good conversation with another dominant by the name of Legendary Wolf. It's been a good friend for a couple of years now online, and we finally got time to have a sit down and talk. And it was a great conversation that covered so much. Everything from his journey into the lifestyle of BDSM to alpha males, the current situation of the lifestyle, and most of all, education and the importance of educating newbies and also having education for those that are in the lifestyle that wish to upgrade themselves, upgrade their skills, and upgrade their knowledge. So without further ado, I'm going to let my guy roll right into this podcast with his experience on getting into the lifestyle. So please enjoy this conversation. Again, it was so elaborate that I had to make two parts.
But when I came in the game, I got introduced to it through a female dom.
Okay.
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 And back then,
Mm-hmm.
they were what the classic dominatrix was like.
Okay.
Right. That's what the dominatrix were like back then, and the male doms were, so rare. It was like finding a unicorn.
Right.
So these females would be the ones to kind of vet the process of who could get down, who would be introduced, and so on and so forth.
Right.
And she put me on, and we met at a party, and it just happened to be that she picked up on my vibe as a young man, and she was like, there's something about you, and I was like, look, I'm not into older women like that.
Right.
She's like, I wasn't trying to hit on you. So, the conversation kicked off, and we were friends for a hot minute. And then she was like, if you're interested in broadening your horizons, I want to introduce you to somebody. And I was like, all right, cool. She took me to this underground party type thing.
Right.
I met this one gentleman, older cat. At the time, he must have been probably in his early 60s.
Nice.
Okay. My man had the Dracula vibe going on. Like, wherever he went, he had nothing but all the finest women following him around. Young dudes that came in, good looking, well dressed. They had money the whole nine. They couldn't turn a head in the spot. They couldn't turn a head. So unless he said, come here, so and so. You see that guy? Go be with him. You go be with her. Go and dude was just running things like he was smooth.
Nice.
The night went on, and I've always been the kind of guy. I play the background. I play the shadows because I like to observe.
Right.
And I sat back and I watched this dude command a room.
Right.
And she came back. She said, you having a good time? I said, oh yeah, of course. The drinks were live. The food was great. And this is like when they have these feasts.
Right.
It was a spread.
Nice.
It was, high quality drinks and all
that.
Right. And she said, you look pensive. What's going on? I said, did you bring me here to meet somebody? She says, yeah, the host of the party. I said, is it that gentleman right there? She said, yes. I said, that is probably the best thing you could do for me. She said, why? I said, because whatever he got, I want it.
Right.
Whatever he got, I want it.
Right.
And she looked at me like, okay, yeah, we gonna vibe. We gonna talk about this.
Right.
And it just built from there. And after a 10-year, I'll call it a relationship because we had that connectivity, but we never were intimate.
Right.
Never. I mean, she had me participate in things as she put me on to different things and taught me techniques and a lot of stuff that some of it would be considered antiquated now,
Right.
but it's still
Right.
the root of what is now being accepted as the norm.
Right.
You know, and then when I met this dude, he introduced me to his friend, and the three of them, used to allow me at times to get involved with them and participate and learn and they put me on, man. Like they put me levels above dudes that had already been in the game
Right.
10, 12 years. And I
Damn.
was like 4 or 5 years in, a
Right.
young kid. By the
Right.
time I was 27, I was being invited to host or to be like the what they call the mentor, to be a
Right.
mentor of a party so that I could run things from whatever without having to participate. And
Right.
I was like, wow. And she was like, what the moves you're making are crazy. Like the things that I
Right.
see are going on with you, the things I'm hearing from you. I
Right.
said, well, I already had a predilection for the lifestyle. I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
And from there it just blossomed, and I got into other things, and as I found out things, again, a lot of behind the scene things, social media, um, the current social climate right now allows a lot of people to be aware
Mm-hmm.
of the lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
without really knowing what they're aware of.
Right.
So
Right.
they kind of, oh yeah, I'm kinky, or I'm a sub, or I'm a
Right.
whatever. Stop, please.
Right.
You're not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're a chick that has a high sexual appetite
Right.
and you like to get smacked and spanked.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is.
That's what that is. Yeah.
Right. And then, and then it transitions, but there's just so much watering down that for I'd say about a good 10 years,
Right.
I took a step away from the life.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I just, whatever I had going on in my personal life
Right.
stayed as it was.
Right.
But I didn't interact. I didn't go to the parties. I didn't go to events.
Right.
I didn't mentor anybody. I didn't take on nothing. I did nothing.
Right. Right.
Then I have a real good friend of mine. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's somebody I definitely would love to put in touch with you.
Okay.
She is like a female me.
Okay.
Okay, on a younger scale.
Okay.
But when I tell you she's real and about it.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
We need real ones. We need real ones.
There's not too many left.
Right. Now, the one thing that I would say I missed that. I missed those events. I missed those events. I missed being able to go somewhere and see what you saw. And to see a guy command a room is everything you said about how you came into the life exactly where I want to go with the life. Right. I want to go to that level where we can have function. My brother, somebody want to do a get together, but I want to have function. We can have high quality people there, and we just and it'd be a good function, like you said, good food, good people, good liquor, and all that,
right,
and quality time. Now I know that's not going to come with a bunch of people. I know that's going to be a limited group, but as long as we could, as long as I can pull that off, that's what where I want to go with it. And
see what would be your all right? So each event usually has a main attraction.
Okay.
So the main attraction would be something like a specialist in something is going to give like a seminar.
Right.
Like I had a conversation with someone about a year ago, and just I casually mentioned about different tools that we use.
Right.
And I mentioned that my favorite happened to be a bull whip.
Okay.
And like her eyes opened up and she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And we had a short conversation and it's like, if you ask around, there's not too many people that know how to use that.
Yes.
Without it being, calling 911 type thing.
Right. Right.
And so you would need someone to come in and be like the main event.
Right.
That you would then build this event around and be like, okay, we're going to have 10 people there. These 10 people are going to be either doms, subs, or all dominants.
Right.
With the understanding that this is going to be a learning process, something that we're going to present so that you can add this to your repertoire, or that you can make this
exactly
part of your toolbox, when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing with whoever you're doing it with. A lot of times, you get people that allude to their greatness
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
And show up with just, they talk about being a tsunami and they show up like a shallow puddle. You know,
Right.
and you're like, I didn't even get
Right.
my toe wet, bro. Like,
Right.
what did you really
Right.
bring to the table?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Right.
Like, not even napkins. Like,
Right.
just
Right. Exactly. Right.
right. But if you build an event, like I'll gladly help you with that.
All right. Perfect.
How to set it up. You get a venue.
Mm.
The other thing is you have to have the legality of it. The legality of it is they have to know that everything is consensual.
Right.
That has to be signed and approved ahead of time.
Right.
Everything is being done with a level of secrecy
Right.
because there are, depending on the state. I mean, we're in New York,
Right.
so it's a little bit different here. There's certain legalities that are not allowed.
Right.
Like for an example, if you want to teach, if I mean, you could teach an hour long or a 45-minute course on penetration.
Right.
Like you ask people about penetration, they can't really explain to you the how. They
Right.
understand the why and the what,
Right.
but the how.
Right.
Is it only this? Is it this and that? Is it just these two? Is it these three things?
Right.
Can you use those other things? Should you use those other things?
That's right.
Why is a cactus off limits? I don't know.
Right.
You need to learn this. So,
Right. Right.
and a lot of times people are only able to learn through the experience
Right.
because there's such a rare opportunity to have that experience.
Mm-hmm.
They just go with what they think is the way it should be.
Right.
And that's why the climate of this lifestyle is so poor right now.
Right. Yeah.
If you look around and even your page, my page, a couple of
Right.
pages that I've been on,
Right.
um, one of my personal pet peeves, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been Legendary Wolf since I was in my 20s.
Okay.
Okay. That name came through different aspects of my life.
Okay.
One, as you can see on, oh wait, wrong, one way. As you can see on the wall behind me,
Yep. The
okay,
wolf.
I'm Native American.
Right.
Then from that point forward, then when I joined the Marine Corps, there was a certain aspect of how I conducted myself as a Marine that lent
Right.
the name. And then when I came out and then I started, I was introduced and I was immersed into the lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
there was certain aspects about me back then.
Right.
The name was given to me. I didn't say, hey, that sounds kind of cool. Let me
Right.
just add that. It
Right.
was given to me. The
Right.
legendary part came from when I was in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
But it just sounded nice when I wrote my name. So I
Right.
was like, all right, so I'm gonna keep that.
Right.
But as far as the BDSM lifestyle, I've seen so many different types of wolves. I'm like, holy shit, we should
Right.
have a huge pack by now.
Right.
But you can't find one that really could teach you anything.
Right.
Everybody wants to be called Sir, Master, God, whatever.
Right.
And why? What have you done? What have you contributed to the lifestyle that makes you such an eminent individual that
Right.
you should be given that kind of a title
Right.
or given that level of respect to the
Right.
title?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Like I tell people all the time, like there's people that they call me sir because that's their nature as a sub or
Right.
as a respectful individual.
Right. It
Because
sounds
there are two sides to it.
right.
But I don't ever tell somebody, oh, you got to call me sir
Right.
because I'm so and so.
Right.
You can call me Wolf.
Right.
I'm cool.
Right. Right.
It doesn't have to be all of that extra.
Right. And that's
Because
mm-hmm.
no,
That it could, and to your point, that's how I roll. Like people will come to me and be like, "Sir, this," and I'm like, and they'll ask me like, what do I call you?" And I'm like, well, really, just call me all because, to call me sir, I feel as though we have to be there. I have to earn that, and you just coming to me. That is like you're saying, like that's not something I demand that someone say that until they get to know me and understand why they should respect me in that way.
right.
But they
Right.
need a man to know that, how you are as a man, I respect that enough to call you sir. And I want them to know that they don't need to be just going around calling any dude sir either, because not everybody deserves to be, or master or whatever it is. They don't deserve that title until you actually see the relevancy in their personality, character that they deserve to be called that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much that I wish we could begin like a resurgence of knowledge.
Right.
You know,
Right.
there's a lot to be taught, especially to the newer individuals coming into the life that are being led by those barely really getting their own feet wet,
Right.
and yet they're leading the blind.
Blind. Right.
And then you get to the point where, well, damn, now everybody's blind, so we just
Right.
stumbling around. No,
Right.
we can't have that.
Right.
So we need to have a certain, like a, I don't know, almost like a council that can put forth, not necessarily rules. Everybody has their own set of rules. Nobody
Right.
needs rules. But what we need is like a hard blueprint of what the basics are, so
Right.
you can build from that as a
Right.
foundation.
Right. Right.
Like when you
Absolutely.
start talking, people, they have, I mean, you can always Google whatever the hell you want nowadays.
Right.
What's the difference
Yeah.
between a slave and a sub?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the difference? Well, a slave is the person that brings you your sub, and hopefully the sub is tasty.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
But
Right.
there's a lot that goes on that people aren't aware of.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain complex interactions and that are necessary. For an example, if you have a sub that just wants to totally commit to being a sub, right? Okay, that's great. How does being a sub fit into your daily life?
Right.
Do you have
Right.
kids?
Right.
Do you have friendships that you participate in?
Right.
Are your friends going to be comfortable with you wearing a collar?
Right.
What if you have feminist friends that
Right.
feel that wearing a collar is derogatory towards women?
Remember. Right.
How are you going to explain that?
Right.
How are you going to have her respect your perspectives on life,
Right.
so that you can not only be comfortable in your own skin,
Right.
but in the circle of people that you called your friends or your family?
Mm-hmm.
All these things are very important, and they're overlooked continuously.
100.
So they get themselves caught up in a situation. They're like, oh well, I don't, do I have to wear my collar at work, or should
Right.
I just put it on when I come
Right.
home, or,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and then you have the watering down that goes down.
Right.
You put a collar on a sub, the collar stays on.
Right.
Choose your collar wisely.
Right.
It's simple.
It's
You
simple.
don't you
Right.
don't just go, hey, listen, you see this 4-pound piece of metal? I want it around your neck at all times.
Right.
Really? Because it's going to set off the metal detector at my job.
Right. 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 Right.
Like, you
Right.
gotta make it make sense.
Yes, and oh my God, it's so funny you said. It's not funny what you said. I'm glad we're talking about this because I was talking to a young lady that I advised, and
Mm,
I was telling her, "Look, I know you want a dude. However, you want a man, and you would like a dom. However, the guy you're telling me what you want for yourself, but you
hmm
got kids in your life. So any man that comes into your life, you have to understand that that person is going to be a role model for your kids, regardless. He might not be a role model in the sense of him taking on responsibility, but he's going to be a symbol of a man in their life, and how
Right.
he treats you is going to transfer to them.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, so you can't just look at what you want because it's so much more than you. And being a submissive, like how does that transfer down to your kids? If you got daughters, how does that work with them?
hmm
All this kind of stuff. And just two
Right.
people are just so focused on, I just need a man. But you don't know if he's an abuser. You don't know if this dude is a child molester. You don't know really anything about a lot of these people. And because of the lifestyle we're in, the kink aspect of it, you never know if people are waging out their past traumas.
hmm
You don't know if they've been abused when they were younger.
hmm
So these are things that people need to take in consideration, but they gloss over that. And a lot of that is as you said, is just lack of education. And, and it's funny because my family history is a lineage of educators. And so I'm a barber by trade. But I've also everything that I do lands me into education. So I became a barber educator, and now I got into this lifestyle. Now I see myself. I've become sort of an educator in the lifestyle, and I'm not
hmm
as versed as yourself, so I don't necessarily always put my neck out there. But I'm very good at relationships and understanding how relationships work as a foundation. And having fostering friendships for over 30 years with men and women, I kind of know how relationships work. with people,
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with different people because of my job, of my trade. I have an understanding of people and men especially. And so it's funny that we see these guys out there saying all these things about what it is to be a man. I think some of what gets that doesn't get talked about, except for Kevin talks about this, is just the intelligence and how a man has to look at things intellectually in his life and how he places those things. So, like you said, okay, you want to be a submissive, but can you fall in line with a man and what he wants? And his priorities become your priorities first, and but to know that circumvent it is some of his priorities become you and your kids, or his, whatever else y'all got going on. If you
Right.
got an ailing mother, like those become part of his priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have, as you say, we had this whole feminist movement and so many women thinking they're alpha males, alpha females, which I just think y'all just hardworking women. You
Right.
have positions of authority, but that doesn't really make you an alpha, because when you come home, you crying about the shit all goddamn day and night. So alphas go to work, we come home, we might talk about it a little bit, we have a drink, and we go on about a night. We watch the game,
Right.
and we don't really want to talk about work, but they gotta unload about work and talk about how they feel, and there's nothing wrong with that. But alphas don't really operate in that way. So I don't. So a lot of these women that think they're alphas, no, you're just a person with authority. But
Right.
alphas don't dwell on things that they don't like, especially work, because it's like that's work. This is home. When I come in here, shield up. We don't deal with
Right.
that out there. Because men,
See,
as you know, we are the point between the outside world and our home. We shield our home from the outside world.
right.
And any man that allows social media or anything else to run through his house is not a man.
Right. There's certain levels. There's certain levels of interaction with society that um, have been changed
Mm-hmm.
through the dynamic of. Uh, I won't blame the feminist movement
Right.
as a specific, but
Mm-hmm.
that's part of it. Like
Yes.
I believe in empowerment when it comes to women. I think women are
Absolutely.
strong as hell. I think every
100%.
woman should be Wonder Woman. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Knock it out the box.
Yes.
And there's absolutely nothing that a man could take from a woman that's strong,
Right.
but he shouldn't want to.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
a man should be strong in his own right.
Absolutely.
See, alpha males are solution oriented.
Yes.
They're not about the problem; they're about the solution.
Solutions. Right.
And yeah, we can have problems, but when we're home, we'll think about those problems in the sense of how do I solve that, not how do I cry about that.
Right.
So you find a solution, you put it into effect. If that solution wasn't good enough, you find another one and you keep it moving.
Right.
The way that society has separated the the household, um, to me, it's sad because I remember back in the day, when you had two parents in the house that were working, they both worked for that one household. It was
Right.
he worked, she worked, his money, her money came together. It was house money. Whatever the bills were, we paid the bills, got it done.
Right.
And then what's left? Okay, so
Right.
that money there goes for vacation. That goes for the kids' education. We
Mm-hmm.
need clothes, we need groceries, we need whatever. All the bills are done, we're good. Now
Right.
we can lay back.
Right.
When it came to like, I don't necessarily subscribe to traditional roles in the sense of outside of the lifestyle. Traditional roles to me are no longer traditional because we don't live in that society anymore.
We
We
don't.
don't have that leave it to beaver shit.
We don't.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't.
So there's no where the wife is the housewife at home and she's baking pies and shit. Kids go to school, they come home, they do their homework. Dad comes home, he needs his slippers and a newspaper. Nah, man, that's not how it works. We got things to do. So if we're going to keep moving forward, we have to keep that progressive mentality. So whether they both work or one works and she takes care of the home, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
What is your role? And if you don't know your role, that's the problem. A lot of people don't know their role. Men think that they have to be badasses or that they constantly have to be, tough guys and
Right.
out there, conquering the world. Listen, the only world you need to conquer is your own, just like in the lifestyle. You don't
Right.
got to worry about what the next Dom is doing with his
Right.
sub.
Right.
Okay. Worry about how you interact with the people that are putting themselves in your hands. Period. That's the end of the story right there.
Yes.
Period.
You know,
We have a lot of people that, for an example, like you said about alpha females.
right.
I don't feel any kind of way, any negative kind of way about a woman that asserts herself.
No, not at
To
all.
me, I think society is just too rough for a woman not to.
Right.
But you have to understand the difference, fundamental difference between yourself
Right.
and a man.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of women that get confrontational with men.
Yes.
And I'm again, it sounds a little paradoxical, but it's not. I don't believe a man should hit a woman.
Right. No doubt. Me too.
And as a dom, that sounds kind of crazy because
right.
Sometimes that's
impact play is part of what we do.
Right. But in the sense of violence,
yes.
a man should never be violent with a woman.
Yes.
My one and only exception is if a woman puts herself in a position where she is either acting like or representing herself as a man.
Yes.
If you then become confrontational and feel that it's okay for you to become physical with a man,
right,
then you have earned
right
the consequences of doing
right.
so.
Of being treated like a man.
And when you get handled,
right,
you can't be mad.
Right.
And then you can't fall back and say, well, I have a vagina, he abused me.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. A minute ago,
right,
you were the roughest dude on the block.
Right. Right.
But now you want to be a woman because you're going to use that because you got your ass handed to you.
100%.
We're not going to do that. So
right.
Again, this is where a lot of this muddying of the waters in society has made it difficult when we talk to other men, and you can tell within the first 5 or 10 minutes of conversation that they're really not secure in who they are.
Right.
Like they don't understand what their role is to themselves as a man.
Yo, they don't really understand what their role is to themselves as a man. And I keep telling, I've done a podcast about this. Is the emotionally intelligent man? We have to learn more emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, as my grandfather, man, he was so older men have a way of saying so much in so little phrases.
Right.
And he always told me, if you have to hit your woman, you don't need her. And he would say, empty wagons make the most noise. Women would love to talk and they will love to argue. He's like, men speak when they need to be heard. And and as I get older, I just grew, as I came through my 20s to my 30s, those three things just resonated with me so strong, because I'm not going to keep going back and forth, because that can only escalate to a point with some people. If you have a woman who doesn't have a point where she knows she needs to stop, it can escalate the violence, right? And we're the ones that lose out in that exchange. Always. And furthermore, I just don't feel like I should have to hit anyone in my household like that. Like that's just it's way too much. And guys that cannot control themselves and control the people that, as you said, handed themselves to you to protect and guide. If you can't get them under control, guys that aren't intellectual enough and emotionally intelligent enough, they resort to violence as a way to get control over others, because you're using fear instead of reasoning,
right? Or respect.
And that is what I try to talk to guys about. Is what I try to tell women about. If they're saying oh, this guy, he's an abuser, he did this, he did that, and I'm like, yeah, but there's two people in that situation. You didn't have to stay there and play in that. At the point that it got to a point where it was uncomfortable and the respect was lost, you should bounce. I know that's easier said than done in some situations, but it takes two. It takes two. Not just the man who's at fault. The women are at fault too. If you stay there and stay for the abuse, women have to look at themselves as well to say, well, what is it about me that I'm drawn to that?
Right. Well, something that we say a lot in my family is, um, you can't have an argument with one person.
Right.
So that means if someone puts you in a situation where it's either going to become an argument, become a fight, or whatever, like if you walk away from that, whether it's emotionally, mentally, or physically, walk away from that scenario,
Right.
they're left arguing with themselves. There's no argument because they're there talking to themselves.
That's right.
So the argument is dead.
Right.
But one of the aspects, touching back on what you just said a few minutes ago, one of the things that, again, that I've noticed is lost
Right.
in the art of being a man.
Right.
Because it is there's an art form to it. There's an art form to
100%.
being a man.
Absolutely.
And in that art form, one of the greatest aspects of that is you have to be a man worthy of respecting.
Yes.
To have a woman respect you the way it would be necessary for them never to get to the point where they want to become physical or argumentative
Right.
or confrontational.
Right.
Because if you're worthy of respect, the first thing they're going to want to do is communicate.
Yes.
Communication is key. It doesn't matter what it is you're dealing with: work, home, family, a loved one, a lover, a
Yep.
friend, a
Yep.
business. Communication is key.
Yep.
So if you're talking to a woman, your woman, that woman, and you're not showing her that you're a person worthy of respecting, whether it be your opinion,
Right.
whether it be your perspective, whether it be you as an individual,
Right.
they're not going to give you that respect automatically, because that's what society, unfortunately, has taught people,
Right.
that they don't have to.
Right.
My rights first. Well, your rights are infringing on mine.
Right.
So how are we going to respect each other?
Right.
Are we going to agree to respect each other, or are you going to force it to become a situation where either we're not going to communicate at all,
Right.
or I'm going to have to force you to respect me?
Right.
Me personally, if I get to the point where I got to force you to respect me,
It's done.
I need to walk away.
Right.
I need to walk away, because by nature, not so much anymore, but by nature, I'm a violent man.
Right.
Okay. The majority of my life, I've had absolutely no problem pushing somebody's teeth down their throat.
Right.
So I've kind of slowed my roll and taken a few steps away from that mentality, because again, as we get older, we become more aware
Right.
of our ability to communicate and our intellectual, emotional, like you say.
Right.
And we need to constantly put that out there so that we can introduce it to people, even those that are just meeting us for the first time,
Right.
so they can have an understanding of, all right, this is how this guy is.
Right.
I can tell already he's not somebody I want to cross that line with,
Right.
or that I want to infringe on their boundaries.
Right.
So let me tread carefully.
Right.
And then once they get to know you and they understand that I'm not doing this to be a hard ass, I'm doing this because I want to make sure that we respect each other.
Right.
And then of course introducing that aspect, or once a younger man accomplishes that for himself,
Right.
then if they want to become a dom or a master or a whatever, then they can introduce that perspective and that mentality into the dynamic
Right.
of having a sub or a slave or whatever.
Right.
And not every aspect is for everybody. I had this conversation recently with a couple of people, and there's certain aspects to the BDSM lifestyle that I don't find particularly attractive.
Right.
I don't knock it. Everybody got their hustle, everybody got their kink, everybody got
Right.
their get down.
Right.
But it's not something I would ever introduce into the way I flow.
Right.
So I wouldn't participate in it. I have knowledge of it.
Right.
Because I just choose to be a knowledgeable individual.
Right.
But I don't participate in it enough to be able to say, hey, yeah, I can show you
Right.
how to teach your sub to become a pet.
Right.
Or teach your sub to transition into a slave.
Right.
I can show you.
Right.
I don't participate in that.
Right.
But I can show you. Now, again, if we had these events like you were saying before, it would be so much easier, because you say, okay, listen, on my page, I have these 5 people, these 10 people that
Right.
are pretty consistent with what they're showing me they're living, like how
Right.
they're living it. So
Right.
I want to introduce them to this so they can level up.
Right.
And then once we do that, now we have a council. Now we have a group of people that can interact and form some kind of a commission, or some kind of a BDSM family.
Yes.
Like back in the day, that was a big thing. Like
Right.
you knew who was who. Like you
Right.
walked in a room and you recognized faces, like you knew who they were. You didn't see them all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You may not have, of course, we didn't have cell phones and all that, so you may not have had their personal phone number at home. But
Right.
when you went to these events, the love was there, the
Right.
respect was there, because
Right.
they knew what you were about.
Right.
And that's the main problem. People don't know what other people are really about. So you
Right.
get a lot of these guys that are full of shit.
Right.
You get a lot of these fake doms out there.
Right.
You get a lot of these subs that, or a lot of these women that they think that they want to be a sub when they're really not
Right.
a sub.
Yes.
They're just a really kinky chick.
Right.
You know? And then you have some that you know, they want to become doms.
Right.
You know, they have a very dominant personality, but they
Right.
figure they need to get into the lifestyle somehow.
Right.
And because in their opinion, you know, women are all viewed as subs, which that's
Right.
absolutely not true.
Right. True.
They want to come in that way. And then
Right.
you're like, hold on a second, but you're trying to peg that dude.
Right.
That subs don't do that shit.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like you walked in here with a strap on. What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
You know, come on. We're not going to go that route.
Right.
You need to take that shit off, first of all.
Right.
Okay?
No doubt. Right.
Because nobody's really ready for that.
Right.
And let's have this conversation before we go
right.
further.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room for that.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room for that.
Right.
So again,
the beauty of there's a beauty to social media with bringing so many people together that have never met each other, like me, like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got great connection. And then there's the ugly of it, whereas though there's so many imposters and people. It's so funny that the common person doesn't have the foresight to see that social media is just what it is, unless you really know a person and get to see how their life is, talk to them on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't know what this person's about. I've had people like, I want you to be my dom, online, and I'm like, I can't dom you online. I mean, like, I can put you on to some stuff and show you some things as far as like some information, but I can't really call you my sub and get into this game online because it's fake. And I remember this one girl, I think she was from Poland. I was in a group. Girl from Poland was talking to this dude. He's from the States. And I was like, they were going through all this stuff online. Like somebody say something to her. He trying to defend her and all this shit. And I was like, listen, man, you've been fucking with this dude for about a good year now. Has he made any plans to come see you? Well, he said he's going to come see me. Something with his passport. I was like, this is bullshit. It's bullshit. Bullshit. You know what I mean? It's bullshit. Like, come on. I'm like, like at this point, after a year, he should be making plans to absolutely, this is when I'm coming to see you.
Right.
Because that's what men do, especially if you're going that hard for her. You should want to be in her company to really bring it all together. But it's just like, y'all can't see that, but they be starving. So many women are starving for attention that they'll take that.
Right.
And people actually invest their whole emotions into somebody they never met or off some promises, which is bullshit.
Right. It's like walking into a bakery and settling for crumbs. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Like, see, now I've mentored subs.
Right.
From a long distance.
Absolutely. I'm right. I've been there. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Right. So it's a difference. It's not on some real hardcore dom.
Right.
You're
mine.
Right. You give them direction. You give them some rules to follow.
Right.
There's interaction that goes on here and there.
Right.
Depending on how immersed you are, how not, what their life is about. Again, like we were talking about before. Like, you got a mom, got 2 kids, 2 jobs. She's busting her ass out there in okey doke.
Right.
And you don't have time to be, taking pictures bowing down at the front fucking door. Coming home.
Right.
You're not, stop it. Don't do that. Right. And it's, and for the most part, I'd say 99.9% of the time, it's an ego trip for these dudes.
100%. Yes.
And I frown on that heavily, because if you were to be able to go through their screen and see their real life, these guys work in a 7-Eleven. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're the Slurpee dudes.
They're trash. They're trash.
Yeah, but they want that master,
master
wolf killer.
Right.
God of everything, motherfucker. Get out of here with that.
Yo, straight up, yo, straight up. Listen, yes, yo, listen, you killing me. Yes,
I can't respect any of that.
no.
And I've had guys come at me sometimes, like they'll get pissed off because, I let people be who they want to be. It's social media, so a lot of it is bullshit.
Right.
But I'm gonna let you rock. You want to be out there like you got an S on your chest, okay?
Right.
But when you say something that I think is detrimental to either the lifestyle or to a person, because you're leading them down the wrong path, right. I'm gonna step in and say something to you.
Right.
Now, if I say something, you get your feelings hurt. That's your fucking problem.
100%.
I don't really care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what you gonna do?
Right.
You want to come see me?
Right. You don't want to do that.
I'm good with it.
You don't
I'm good with it.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that. Yeah.
Right. And then they get mad. So then they hit me in the DMs like, oh, you didn't have to embarrass me. Yes, the hell I did.
Right, yeah.
You're a clown.
Right.
And you're making those of us that have busted our asses to get to where we're at and get the respect, as they say, put on our name.
Right.
You're getting on that.
Right.
Because when they say Dom, they say, okay, well, he says he's a Dom. He says he's a Dom. He says he's a Dom.
Right.
One of these things is not like the other.
Right.
So how come, these guys are all seemingly full of shit, and there's this one guy that he seems like he really knows what he's doing, but they all say they're Dom.
Right.
So maybe he's full of shit too. No, I'm not full of shit.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not that dude. They are.
Exactly.
So I got a little vindictive for about a good 6 months. I was going at dudes. Like I was going on pages and on chats, and I was just like eviscerating them. Like I'm no mercy.
Right.
And they were like, Can you kind of like chill out, man? Fuck you.
Right.
I'm not doing that.
Right. Right.
So, and I've had their subs contact me, like, I'm so glad you did that because you kind of, you shamed him into telling the truth, or you blew up his spot.
Right.
Because they were talking. This one guy, I remember this one dude. I can't remember what his screen name was. It wasn't shit anyway. Right. But he was going on and on about he was a Shibari master.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Okay.
And he was getting like, I've been in Shibari 15 years, and I was taught by, the Grandmaster blah blah blah. He gave some funky ass Japanese name, and I was like, okay. So again, in the age of technology,
right? You Google.
I Google the shit out of that Grandmaster. No such person. Okay, and then in the world of Shibari, the top masters are all known. They're all known.
Right.
All right. I am by far not close to being even remotely called master when it comes to Shibari.
Right.
I know my knots.
Right.
I'm pretty good at it.
Right.
But that's as far as I go. Okay. Right. I'm highly interested in it because I see it as an art form.
Right.
So I asked him a simple question. I said, so would you say that Shibari came from Kinbaku? And he said, oh, absolutely. He says, yeah, Kinbaku was the originating form of Shibari and so on and so forth. And I was like, really?
Really? Right. Right.
I said, so let me stop you there.
Right.
Because that's bullshit.
Right.
He was like, what do you mean? So I broke it down to him about Shibari, Kinbaku, the difference between one being an art form and the other one being it's almost like a martial art. Like you're learning the art form, but there's a science to one and there's an art form to
another. Right.
That's the basic breakdown.
Right.
And he was like, no, it's not. So I was like, all right, cool. So this is what I'm going to do for you. So I went on Google and I took a screenshot of a basic introduction to Shibari and Kinbaku. Right. And then I posted it on the chat.
Right.
It was like, oh, well, what I was trying to say, I was like, what you were trying to say was some more bullshit. You need to stop.
Right. Just stand corrected.
Yeah.
Just stand
corrected. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't.
Just stand corrected.
That's it. That's it. It's simple.
Say thank you for enlightening me, for correcting me.
Right.
Because that's and being humble as men. And that whole Dom thing is just they make it seem like it's all about arrogance, and it's not. Because if I'm ever saying some crazy shit, I'm so thankful that someone will come along and be like, hey, yo, that ain't right. It's really this. Cool. Thank you. And I don't mind if it's public, because I'm like, I'm glad you straightened me out. Because I don't want to be out here misrepresenting. And at the same time, I want people to understand that I'm fucking human. I can make mistakes. I can be on assumptions on shit, because who knows where everybody got their education from. But if someone knows something more than you, or knows more knows the real truth about it, then you should accept. You should want to know, and should be glad that someone enlightens you on it. And I don't mind if it's public or private. Like I want to show people that I can be wrong and I can accept being corrected, and that's going to make everyone that I'm dealing with better.
Right.
It makes everyone that I deal with better. But ego is a motherfucker, you know, and people, and as you said, guys got to have this facade that I'm this big dime and all that. I have not had the success in my life without having mentors above me pulling my ass through, correcting me when I make mistakes, and you know, either saying it in a good Obama way or a straight up you fucking up way, you know. But it's all to help me become better, and so I don't take correction unless it's out of malice as a bad thing. You know, you can tell when somebody's just really coming at your neck out of malice, and when someone's coming at your neck out of love and just respect. And a lot of guys just can't take being wrong. And here's the thing, though: if you're shooting dumb shit that's really going to affect people in a negative way, you need to get your neck came at.
You know, if we're not living through humility, man, we're not really growing. Humility is the foundation of every great man. I don't care which one you want to choose. From Gandhi to Malcolm X to Martin Luther King to John F. Kennedy to pick a great man. Any time in history. Humility was at the base of his success. Guaranteed. Because if he's not humble, he can't learn. You can't fill a cup that's not empty. You understand? And the humble man always has an empty cup. So you know, you go around and you get from this person, you get from that person. It's like, you know, you want to make soup to feed your tribe, right? So to make soup to feed your tribe, you got to see the guy that got carrots, you got to see the lady that got potatoes, you got to see the woman that got water, you got to see the dude that got other vegetables, you got to see the guy that got a little bit of beef, you got to see the guy that got a little chicken. You know what I'm saying? And put that all together. You got to see the guy who taught you how to make fire, and you got to have the guy who has a pot. Like, you get it all together, and as a community, as a humble man, you can get all these people together and get this knowledge and learn. Like, I mean, I started studying martial arts at the age of 5. And I was fortunate to grow up with my uncle being one of the very few non-Japanese to be inducted into the Japanese Karate Association. He was a 10th Dan in Shotokan. He was an amazing man, bounty hunter, former Marine like myself. I mean, the man was amazing. And you know, my very first black belt I got at the age of 14, and I got it when I had to fight grown ass men. They beat the snot out of me. I was mad as fuck. I was like, well, how you gonna put these grown ass big brothers to pound my? He was like, listen, if you got in a fight in the street, are you gonna not fight because it's a grown man? I said no. He said, what you crying for? And I was like, you're right. So he told me a very simple thing: keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. The more complex you try to make something, the harder it gets. It's just like telling a lie. Like, you could tell a white lie and say, well, I only said that because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. And then that turns into something else, and that turns into something else. And that listen, I'd rather hurt you a little bit at the beginning, telling you the truth, than hurt you a lot at the end when you find out I lied.
No doubt.
I've never been about the bullshit. Never. So when I deal with people, male and female, I give it to them raw. Straight up. Like, listen, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm not about. This is what I'm trying to get into. That's what I'll never be able to get into. I'm not even interested in that shit. This right here looks real crazy. But, you know, let me get this first, and then I'm gonna see what I can do with this. Yeah. So like, there's some dudes, man, that they're really about the life. You know, and the ones that you really can look at and see that they're living it the way you're supposed to live it, are the ones that are in a couple. Like, you see that he's the dom, she's the sub. They live in it, man. They live in it. And there's a level of, I mean, I've seen so many memes about the lifestyle, but you know, the one statement, it's been played out, but it's really important, is if you think that the man holding the chain is the one in control,
Right.
You don't understand control.
Right.
You know, there is so much strength in a woman submitting herself to the will of a man.
Right.
Or the will of a woman.
Right.
Whichever type of dom
right.
she has.
Right.
Submitting yourself to the will of another person takes strength.
Yeah.
It takes a depth of courage that most doms, believe it or not, don't have.
Right. 100%.
Most doms would never be able to put themselves in a position of weakness and feel comfortable enough to allow someone else to control the outcome of that circumstance.
100%. You're absolutely right.
It's very difficult. It's like the first time a man who's been hurt before, you know, tells a woman that he loves her.
Yes.
That's some scary shit.
It is scary.
You know, because you just revealed to this woman she got your heart in her hand.
Yeah.
So you need to understand, is this woman worthy
of
this?
Right.
Because if she's not worthy, those words will never come out of my mouth.
100%.
But if she is, then you will say those words. Just like a sub. A sub has to be more conscious of who she's choosing. Like you said before, like you can't just take any man as a dom. You can't take any man as your man.
Man, right, absolutely.
Because
right.
Not only do you have to be concerned with that man possibly being a pedophile, possibly being an abuser, but you also have to think about that man is going to show your sons what kind of man they should be, and your daughters what kind of man they should want.
Right.
So if he's not on that level, he shouldn't be part of your life.
100%.
You can have him as a friend.
Right.
But he don't have to be. I mean, and if all you want to do is just get it beat out,
right?
You know what?
Right.
Have a babysitter come over.
Right.
Have homeboy take you to the telly.
Right.
Beat your back out.
Right.
And call it what it is.
Right.
You get some ass. Just keep
right.
moving.
But can you let him beat your back out without catching feelings?
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Because if they get it good, they're like, oh no, I can't let this go to some other girl.
100%.
I gotta keep this here.
Right.
So you know what? Then you gotta
fall back.
Right.
You got to fall back.
You know, I always tell people, when you want to pick a partner, make a list of 10 things. The 10 top things that you feel you must have in a partner.
Right.
When you have that list, look at the person you're interested in.
Right.
If they can hit 6 or 7 out of those 10, that's a good partner.
Right.
That's a good partner.
Right.
Because nobody's going to hit all 10. Nobody's
going
to
no doubt. No doubt.
So if you can get 6 or 7 out of that 10,
right,
you're doing really well. If you can get 8, you're doing fantastic. Okay,
right.
If you get 10, he's a fucking liar.
Yo, you know, bro. Me and you be on you and I are so much on the same page. So the young lady I advise, right? So I told her make a list, 2 lists of 5 things. 5 things in a man that will make you the best version of yourself, and 5 things in a man that bring out the worst in you. Mm-hmm. And then we go over that list. And, and really once we go over that list, it really, you could combine 2 of those things into the other 3. However, she never looked at it like that. And I'm like, you got to know the traits in other people that bring out the worst in you. Because if I meet a woman who's very aggressive and is more of that go, and I'm not knocking go getter. So it's not the go getter mentality, but it's the they have a certain way about them that they have to be in control, and it's very subtle. Like if I'm saying I'm gonna come, we're gonna go out tonight. Well, what time are you gonna be here? What should I? It is all these things, these questions that hold on. I'm gonna inform you of everything else, but I got this. The reservations, the right. And but when I feel that energy from women, I just don't even take it no further. Because I know that she gonna take me to a place and myself at some point that I'm not going. She gonna bring out that monkey suit, and I really don't want. I really try to keep that tucked in that closet. You know what I mean? But I can tell she the type that's gonna try me. See, I don't see if we have a disagreement or something funky between us and it's happenstance, then that's easier to deal with than someone that creates a situation to see how I'm going to react. I don't like that shit. Don't do no purposeful shit.
Right.
Because, as you said, you know how you can be. And I know how I can be. I can be very devious and very, if you really think you the shit, I can really tear you apart. And because you're a woman, I'm going to see most men are going to, a lot of dudes will be physical and, I'm gonna lay back and tear you the fuck apart emotionally. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to really break you down. I'm here to build you the fuck up and add on.
Right.
So what you want is to see which one of us is better in this emotional way, or who can get more control. And then once I see that, I just walk away because it's just not necessary. I like very feminine women.
Right.
And I realized that not everybody's for me. And so I told the young lady, I said, look, when I broke up with my last girlfriend, who I drew a line in the sand one night, I said, listen, we had just came back. We both had some little drinks. I said, listen, we was having this argument. I was like, listen. I'm going to shut the fuck up. And you're going to shut the fuck up. We're both going to go to sleep. We'll wake up in the morning. And then we'll talk. It'll be a better conversation. She kept going. I said, dig this, man. I'm going to shut the fuck up. And you're going to shut the fuck up. And we're going to go to sleep. And if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm going to put my clothes on. And I'm going to leave this motherfucker with trash bags of my shit. And I'm not coming back. And she kept going. I got up, put my pants on. I never came the fuck back. And I'm dead fucking serious, because when a motherfucker draws a line in the sand, when a person is asking you to please stop, even if a woman said to me, look, we already, look, let's just leave it right here, please, and just come back to it. And my humility is, I'm not telling her to shut the fuck up. I'm saying, I'm going to shut the fuck up first. You shut the fuck up and let's go to sleep. When she kept going, I'm like, that's it. You don't understand my line of respect. So I have to show you where this is at.
Right.
She still texting me every fucking day. That was 2 years ago I walked out. We still good friends. I told her, like, yo, the problem is we're great friends, but we're horrible fucking lovers. And I was like, but we could be friends as if we're horrible lovers. And she just feels bad because she knew she fucked it up.
Which is usually the case. Not that the woman fucks it up, but they feel bad,
right?
Because they realize that had they been a little bit more mature, a little bit more conscious of the respect level you were asking for, they would still be where they wanted to be.
The respect level that you should already have.
Right. And one of the aspects of that situation right there, if you chose to go in that direction, is that it's a teaching point.
It is.
Like there's ways to teach someone like that how to communicate better.
Right.
And it's usually done when there's not an argument.
Right.
When you can have just a conversation.
Right.
And you can be like, listen, I noticed that a couple of times we've had these arguments, and the reason that we're not reaching a resolution is because we're not meeting in the middle as we should, as people that have love and affection for one
another, right?
100%. Because if we love each other and we respect each other, then there's no reason why we shouldn't see in the middle. Right. Being angry means that you feel you're not being heard.
100%.
I want you to understand, I'm hearing you.
Right.
I want to connect with you.
100%.
So let's meet in the middle, and if we ever get to the point where we see we're getting into an argument again, let's agree that we're both going to stop the argument and have either a more calm conversation, or we're going to put it to rest for a minute until we're feeling a little bit more positive with each other, and then have a better conversation, so we can meet in the middle. That communication thing, man, I'm telling you, people, it's major. Don't understand. It is an art form to communicate.
It is.
Like, you have to have problem resolution mentality.
I hate to interrupt, but thank you for listening to part 1 of my conversation with Legendary Wolf. And if you want to reach out to us, you can contact him at Legendary Wolf on Instagram. You can find me at Sir Inq on Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook is Sir Inq's The Experience. We also have a site, kinkspace.net. Come check that out. You can always come to my website, sirinc.com, for resources, educational material, products and services. Come check us out. And also, part 2 is coming. So stay tuned. Thank you.
That was quite an experience, wasn't it? Tune in again for a fresh release of Sir Inq's The Experience podcast.